I grew up in an ultra-orthodox Jewish sect called Chabad Lubavitch. My name is Sora, and recently I started sharing a little bit more about my upbringing on my social media platforms, specifically Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You guys had a lot of questions, so I figured I'd make it into just one long YouTube video. Why did I stop being religious? Well, I don't like when people tell me what to do, and I don't think religion should be forced down your throat. I think it should be a personal choice, and I already stopped following a lot of the rules when I was really young, maybe 9 years old or something like that. I remember sneaking off to Century, which was a normal grocery store type of place, with my siblings, and we would buy not kosher candy and sandwiches and things like that. In the sect where I grew up, you were not allowed to read any mainstream books. So I would go buy mainstream books, like books by Nora Roberts and that kind of thing, and hide it under my mattress or things like that and read it. I also missed a lot of years of education, so whenever I found a textbook, in a school closet or whatever, I would read them, even though I wasn't taking those classes and I wasn't allowed to take certain classes. Regarding other people in the community, whether they still accept me, I'm not really friends with most people that I grew up with because our lives are just so different, and I don't believe in following religion as being forced to do it. I do have one friend who is still religious, but she does it by choice, and she's very respectful of my decisions. She doesn't push religion on me. She doesn't when I visit her, she lets me dress however I want. Obviously, I try to be respectful because I am a grown-up, and I understand that she has her ways of doing things and I have my ways of doing things. And as long as we respect each other, then we won't clash. My husband and I even went to her wedding in June. It was an ultra-Orthodox Jewish wedding, and it was very nice. But a lot of people who are radical do not understand that people are allowed to have different opinions, people are allowed to have different religions, people don't have to have the same lifestyle as you do. And I think naturally as you grow up, sometimes relationships just don't last and people grow apart. I did grow up being able to read Hebrew, and I can still do that. I do understand a lot of Hebrew, but I am by no means fluent or even conversational. I just know some very basics. I think I'm in a very unique position that I can come in and out of Jewish communities and synagogues and things like that and be able to understand what is going on and the rules and what is acceptable and not acceptable, and then be able to leave and go live my secular life, not religious, just normal life. I know most people find it very interesting to grow up in a Jewish community because Jews are naturally very secluded communities, and they don't really talk that much with outsiders, especially the more radical sects. I also saw a comment asking whether I grew up in Brooklyn because there are so many Jews in Brooklyn, New York, and the answer is kind of. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I did go to school on and off in Brooklyn, New York, and I have family who lives in Brooklyn, so I used to visit them a lot. And then when I got older, I actually moved to Brooklyn on my own as an adult. I also moved there as a teenager with some of my siblings, so I've kind of lived on and off in Brooklyn, but most of my upbringing was spent in Milwaukee. I also spent a few months in Chicago, and we would go to Chicago very often. Although in New York there is a massive, massive diaspora of Jews, there are Jews all over the world, in every single country around the world. Jews come in all shapes and sizes. They look different. There is a stereotype that Jews have big noses and dark curly hair, which a lot of us do. This is not my natural hair color. It's actually black. But there are also blonde Jews. I've seen redhead Jews. I've seen black Jews. I also know someone who is Thai who converted to Judaism, and you kind of get the gist. Unlike Christianity and other religions, Jews believe that Judaism is like an ethnicity, that it's part of your DNA. They don't believe that it is a religion. Whether you believe that or not, it's really up to you. I think as long as you're respectful towards other people and you're a good person, that is way more important than any religion. A lot of you guys also asked if I still speak with my family, my parents, and I don't speak to my parents most of the time. It mainly has to do with the fact that some people shouldn't be parents and shouldn't have children, and they still do. It's not like so much about religion for me. I do talk to a lot of my siblings, but most of my siblings are no longer religious. I think it has to do with the fact with shoving religion down your throat. Most people don't want that. And I don't really talk to most of my extended family. We just didn't really keep in touch as I got older, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Some of you asked whether my husband is Jewish, and he's not, and I don't care, it doesn't bother me. It's way more important to be a good person and do good things and be a loving partner than following some religion. Do I follow some of the traditions, the religion, the culture still now? I'm almost 27 years old. And the answer is some things, like occasionally I'll light candles, for Hanukkah, like the Jewish holiday of like the lights, the 8 candle lights. I don't know if you guys know. I'll occasionally go to a Sabbath meal, make some Jewish food, things like that, but I am by no means religious. I don't believe in God. I think that religion should be a very personal and individual choice, and as long as you are okay with it and no one is forcing you to do it, then it's perfectly fine. But unfortunately, in radical Judaism, a lot of times you don't have a choice and you're punished if you break the rules. So when I was almost 15 years old, I went into foster care, and I stayed in foster care till I was 18 years old, and I'm still in touch with my foster mom. Unfortunately, my foster dad passed a few years ago, but you guys asked if my foster parents were okay with the fact that I was Jewish, religious, whatever, and the answer is my foster parents were Jewish actually, but they were like reform, conservative, very chill compared to my parents. And by that time, I hated religion. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And they did occasionally ask me, like, do I want to go to synagogue with them and things like that, but mostly I didn't want to do anything, and they were mostly respectful of that. So the whole religion thing was really not an issue when I went into foster care. As I got older, I started appreciating like the Jewish culture and the heritage and the food and the music and things like that, but I still don't believe in radicalized religion. I don't believe that certain people have to follow certain laws to be a good person or whatever. I think it's way more important that you're a good person, you treat people with kindness, and you don't hurt other people. That is way more important than being religious. And a lot of religious communities hide a lot of abuse and neglect and things like that, and they protect their elders and their leaders over children and teenagers and even grown women. And it's really, really sad. Like, no one should live in that kind of world. And yes, this is still happening in the United States. I've lived in the Netherlands now for almost 6 years, and occasionally I go to like a Jewish community center type place. They understand that I am not going to be religious again, so if they push, I'm out of there. I come mostly for like the community, the music, the food, that kind of thing. I've also gone to the Jewish Community Center in Brussels, and someone there told me to literally leave my husband because he's not Jewish. Not from like the rabbi people, but someone who came to their home, and I was just like, how can you care so much about someone's religion when someone is such a good person? I just find this really twisted. Like, why do you care so much about someone's religion? Obviously, I will not be leaving my husband. And my husband is like the most respectful person I've ever met. Like, he comes with me to the Jewish Community Center. He's very respectful, He's even learned like some Hebrew words and things like that over the years. He just wants me to be happy, and that's way more important than him being Jewish. Some of you ask why I don't cover my hair as I am married. Well, first of all, my husband's not Jewish, and second of all, I am not religious, so I don't follow those laws. I think a lot of those laws, like covering your hair and covering up and things like that, are very oppressive to women. A lot of people make it seem like it's a privilege to be able to cover up and follow these laws, and your hair is holy and things like that. And to me, someone who grew up for so many years being religious, it is just oppressive. And men don't have to cover up, and a lot of things, you know, slide with men, but with women, it's way more strict. Just like with any religion, like when it's radicalized, a lot of times like the women are oppressed and the men are like more important and higher than women, and they can do more and no one cares. Anyway, this is my first long form YouTube video. I hope you guys liked it. Over on other social media platforms, I just kind of share like my day-to-day life, my life as a freelance writer, Dutch to English translator, and content creator, traveling, seeing family, and a lot of other things. But I'm trying to start making like longer form YouTube videos, so I figured my first video would be answering a lot of your guys' questions about my upbringing as an ultra-Orthodox Jew. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, let me know in the comments what questions you have, what you want to see more on my channel, and I will try to make more videos like this. But also you guys can go follow me on my other social media platforms if you want to see more day-to-day content. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys all are having a beautiful day.